Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin Sabet, President and CEO of SAM, Smart Approaches to Marijuana. Today, President Donald Trump announced he will allow marijuana's federal drug status under the Controlled Substances Act to be downgraded from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. This terrible move turns the clock for public health back decades, and it's our children who will pay the price. While this does not legalize marijuana, it does give rich marijuana companies tax breaks that will allow for further commercialization and thus further negative consequences for all of us. The president's call is clearly influenced by the addiction for profit industry. A lot of this effort was led by major marijuana companies in the space like Trulieve. It doesn't hurt that that company and others have given tens of millions of dollars to the president and his campaign, or that the president's own staff has family and best friends who stand to benefit from this decision. Because Schedule 3 drugs are exempt from Section 280E of the tax code, marijuana companies can now deduct millions in expenses like rent, payroll, and crucially, advertising and marketing. For years, 280E has limited the industry's ability to flood the zone with ads. Removing it now invites a surge of promotion that will normalize daily use, especially among young people. You can already feel the quality of life strain across our country as it is. Walk a busy corridor in virtually every major city, and the influence and the smell of marijuana is inescapable. Transit agencies field complaints about open use, and neighborhoods debate how to curb public smoking. The stench of marijuana will now proliferate further, as will its influence through advertising. Imagine that reality far more greater now, with a bigger retail footprint as companies write off costs and chase growth. That means more public use and more damage to our families who will be negotiating a culture that equates impairment with entertainment. And we can already imagine what the headlines will be. Marijuana downgraded, read by teens everywhere, giving them the impression that marijuana is completely legal and allowable. But rescheduling won't allow that. And in many ways, this is actually nothing more than a Pyrrhic victory for big marijuana. They have paid an incredibly high price that we're confident will backfire. They have invested tens of millions of dollars in advertising, lobbying, influencer payments, legislation, ballot initiatives, all spent to legalize marijuana across the nation. This industry has been saying that we're on the verge of federal legalization since the 1970s. And after decades of this empty rhetoric and millions flushed away, it's important to keep in mind that the drug remains fully federally illegal. And in many ways, Schedule 3 exposes them to an even wider array of risks and federal agency enforcement. Let's talk about what those risks really are. So Schedule 3 means that marijuana remains a federally controlled drug, illegal to sell outside FDA-regulated channels and without FDA approval. Rescheduling certainly does not give a green light to medical claims for state market THC products. In many ways, it exposes them to further liability. For this industry, this is nothing more than a spectacular failure, a devastating blow to their goals. Consider this. Schedule 3 drugs face tough advertising standards around product labeling, claims sellers are allowed to make, and many other aspects of commerce. There is no reason to think marijuana will now suddenly be immune to this FDA scrutiny and enforcement. These rules also forbid sellers from citing off-label therapeutic use. And let's keep in mind there are exactly 0 FDA-approved uses for raw, crude marijuana. Now, to be honest, it's not clear how this is all going to play out. This is an unprecedented decision because there is no other Schedule 3 drug with no FDA approval for use. In spite of this, we are prepared. In many ways, the debate's really just begun. So let me tell you what I can announce right now. As we speak, we are preparing to file suit against the administration to block this rule if it should ever be made final. We have retained Torridon Law and Bill Barr, former Attorney General of the United States, to lead this charge. Bill has assured me we have an excellent case. Now, today, for the first time, I can also announce our multi-million-dollar-led support for 2 grassroots campaigns to end marijuana sales and commercialization in Maine and Massachusetts. We still have the power to take back our public health. Well, we also are going to take the fight to big marijuana's bank account. That's thanks to the No Deductions for Marijuana Act introduced in Congress by House Budget Committee Chair Jody Arrington and Senator James Lankford. That law, when passed, will make sure marijuana never enjoys preferential tax treatment under Schedule 3. We're calling on Congress to pass this bill immediately. We also call on the Food and Drug Administration, the Federal Communications Commission, and the Federal Trade Commission to immediately begin monitoring the activities of big marijuana to ensure they are not in violation of the myriad new rules they are now subject to under Schedule 3. We're going to make sure and keep them accountable to this. We're also unveiling a number of new resources on our website, learnaboutsam.org, for federal policymakers as well as state level leaders who will have questions about Schedule 3 impact. These resources will equip local advocates and the public with information they need to fight back through education, awareness, and activism. To find out more about what you can do to help in this crucial fight, check out our website, learnaboutsam.org. Now, the bottom line is that we at SAM are going to be working with you to keep fighting for healthy families and safe communities. The fight for public health is long, and we are prepared to weather the storm. We will never let the mantra of addiction for profit or the marijuana industrial complex take over our nation. We know you won't either, and we look forward to working with you. Thanks so much.